Hi, this is Dan Neidle, UK Head of Tax for Clifford Chance. I now have the answers to our 10 tax questions. Question 1. How many taxes are there in England? I think the answer is 34. It looks something like this. Income tax, national insurance, corporation tax, petroleum revenue tax, VAT, stamp duty, bearer instrument duty, stamp duty reserve tax, stamp duty land tax, insurance premium tax, soft drinks industry levy, landfill tax, aggregates levy, climate change levy, bank levy, diverted profits tax, bank surcharge, air passenger duty, apprenticeship levy, spirits duties, wine duties, beer and cider duties, tobacco duties, fuel duty, council tax, business rates, capital gains tax, inheritance tax, customs duties and tariffs, I'll count those as one, machine games duty, gaming duties, vehicle excise duty, carbon emissions tax, climate change levy. It's 34. Bonus points for getting anything that I missed. And I said tax in England because there's some devolved land taxes in Scotland and Wales, which we're not including. That was question 1. Question 2. What started in 1694 and stopped in 2020? Well, that's the physical stamping of documents by the Stamp Office. Stamp duty is the oldest tax in the UK, started in 1694, and ever since then, they've manually or with machines been stamping documents until now. COVID-19 means that they've suspended the physical stamping of documents, which for a tax lawyer is a big, exciting thing. So that's the answer. Question 3. When did the UK introduce a beard tax? If you look at Wikipedia, it will say the answer is at some point, was it the 16th century? They cite some book from 1904, but that book's nonsense. There's no other evidence that a beard tax was introduced, certainly no contemporaneous evidence, and Wikipedia is simply wrong on this. So it was an unfair trick question. The answer is the UK never had a beard tax. I think Russia did. A couple of other countries may have done, not the UK. Which tax exempted cheese rooms? Question 4. The answer is the window tax. There were all kinds of exemptions for special types of room. One of them was cheese rooms. Question 5. Which tax raises a negative amount of money? Weirdly, the answer is petroleum revenue tax. So this is a tax on offshore oil and gas, or at least the old tax on offshore oil and gas. The rate was reduced to 0% in 2016, but the tax was kept in place, and that's so people could essentially keep claiming losses. So the tax is still in existence legally, and if you look at in the budget red book, you'll see that instead of raising positive revenue, it raises a negative amount of revenue and will do for at least the next 5 years. So it's the government giving money away in the form of a tax. Weird. Question 6. What do HMRC say, or did HMRC say, is tasty, pleasurable to drink, refreshing and delicious? The answer is innocent smoothies. This, like most stupid tax points, is a VAT point. VAT is 0 rated on fruit, but it's charged in full at 20% on beverages. So Innocent argued that whilst it looked like a smoothie and it kind of looked like a drink, they said it was actually squashed fruit and therefore should benefit from the 0% rate. HMRC, of course, disagreed. The tax tribunal made a finding of fact that innocent smoothies were delicious, but that didn't stop them from deciding it was a beverage. HMRC won and innocent smoothies lost. The answer to question 6 is innocent smoothies. Question 7. What do you have to do if you decide you want to keep a tax avoidance scheme secret from HMRC? Well, the answer is you have to tell HMRC. Weirdly, if you, on the other hand, decide that you're happy to share the secret of your tax avoidance scheme with HMRC, then you might not have to tell them. This weirdness is in the way that our rule called DOTAS works. It stands for the Disclosure of Tax Avoidance Schemes Rules. And it looks at things which are characteristics of tax avoidance schemes, one of which is you have to be pretty stupid to do them. But another common characteristic is you're trying to keep it secret from HMRC. If you're trying to do that, you have to disclose it. So the answer is you have to tell HMRC. Question 8. Who said the hardest thing in the world is income taxes? There are lots of fake Albert Einstein quotes going around. My favourite one, I think, is the definition of madness is doing the same thing twice and expecting a different result. This, however, is a real Einstein quote. He actually said it. So the answer is Albert Einstein. It's reasonably well sourced, so I believe it. Question 9. Who said that refusing to pay tax is a fundamental part of the Constitution? The peculiar answer here is Karl Marx. He said it was my source in his letter regarding the trial of the Rhenish District Committee of Democrats. Won't be many Marxists today who believe that. Finally, question 10. What's the connection between Rangers Football Club and an incredibly sexist men's magazine? The answer is a guy called Paul Baxendale Walker. He's very litigious, so I should probably be careful what I say about him. But the full story sounds something like this. He's a solicitor. He created a series of tax avoidance schemes in the 80s and 90s, so-called employee benefit trusts. One of those schemes was bought and used by Rangers FC to reduce or avoid tax on the rather large salaries it paid to its staff and the bonuses it paid to its staff. HMRC challenged that, and HMRC eventually won, and that dispute caused Rangers to go bust. Huge deal. They called it the big tax case, was what Rangers supporters called it. Paul Baxendale Walker therefore created that scheme. He also led a rather strange life. He was struck off by the Law Society for having been in the very conflicting situation of advising clients on tax schemes, but also selling them the tax schemes. Not fantastic. And because of that, he then engaged in a protracted series of lawsuits against the Law Society, of course in the UK, but also in California, and then I think in Virginia. In the course of those lawsuits, he fabricated a letter which led to him being prosecuted for fraud and successfully prosecuted for fraud. At some point during all of this, and this is the answer to the question, he started getting involved in adult publications, and he bought Loaded, the aforementioned incredibly sexist men's magazine. Someone should probably make a film of his life. It would be some strange British spin on Boogie Nights, but a very geeky spin on Boogie Nights. So he leads a rather peculiar life, and he's the answer to this question. He's the connection between Rangers Football Club and an incredibly sexist men's magazine. So those are my 10 questions. I hope they illustrate that tax is incredibly boring, and no one thinking of a career in law should ever think of doing tax. If that's not your view, drop me a line. Thank you very much.